In today's video, we're going to talk about 3 locations, some hauntings, and tragedies that still affect our lives today. So, let's get to it. But before that, I want you to please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell and give me a thumbs up on this video. It really means a lot to me. Alright, so let's get into the video. Alright, so on today's video, let's talk about some tragedy. Okay, let's talk about 3 locations. First off, it's the Italian Hall in Calumet, Michigan. On Christmas 1913, the Women's Auxiliary put on a Christmas event because there's been a strike going on for so long. The copper miners striked in 1913. Okay, it was a huge event. But the Women's Auxiliary wanted to put a Christmas show on. So they went to the Italian Hall in Calumet, Michigan, and the place was packed. The place was packed for the Christmas show with tons of families and a lot of kids. But in the middle of the show, someone yelled fire. And nobody knows why, but someone yelled fire. And as you know, back then in the 1913s, fire would be something that would ravage the whole town, not just one house or one building. It would tear up the whole town. So people were in a panic. Okay? Now, the problem is, this was being held on the 2nd floor. And everybody in the event just rushed the door. The only available exit was down one staircase. And people piled up at the bottom of the staircase. One person fell, which led to more people falling, more people getting trampled on. 70 people lost their life that day, women, men, and children. So, they took the bodies over to the Calumet Opera House, and that's where they laid them out. They put them everywhere they could in that building so that the coroner could come over and look at the bodies and determine cause of death, which was obviously trampled to death. But the 70 bodies were laid out in the Calumet Opera House. Now let's talk about the Calumet Opera House a little bit. This place is extremely haunted, okay? But I should go back and tell you about the Italian Hall. It was torn down, and there is a monument there now. There's an archway monument that you can actually go to, but the building is not there anymore. It was torn down in 1984. And the memorial is in the spot. A lot of the victims were put in the Lakeview Cemetery in Calumet, which is also very haunted. But let's talk about the Opera House. The Opera House is very haunted, okay? It's haunted by the spirit of a few actors and actresses. One of them is Madame Majestic, okay? I haven't found any information on her, but she passed away in 1909. At the age of 68. She is said to be one of the ghosts that haunt the location. One of the instances where she was seen was a performer was on stage and she forgot her lines. She looked up in the balcony and saw Madame Majeska. I'm sorry, I pronounced her name a little wrong earlier, but Madame Majeska in the audience, in her special seat, mouthing the words to the play so that she could finish the play without having the audience know that she forgot her lines. She's also seen all over the theater. She's heard singing. Music is heard in the theater. Many other performers have seen this ghost. In 1903, there was a murder of a man in the theater. His ghost is often seen and heard screaming in the middle of the night. One thing about the Calumet Opera House is that's where the bodies of all the victims from the Italian theater disaster was taken, as I said earlier. We don't know if that's the victims that they're seeing of the many spirits in the theater. There's also a spirit of a little girl. Her name is Amanda Rowe. She died in the theater, but nobody really knows why. She's also heard screaming in the middle of the night, and she's also been seen walking the halls. So let's go on to the Victorian Hall disaster. Victorian Hall is in Sunderland, England. June 16th, 1833. The theater was packed with over 1,500 children for a magic show. The magic show went on, and at the end of the magic show, all the actors and actresses came out and was throwing candy and toys out into the audience. The only problem was they were throwing it to the stage level audience. All the kids in the balcony started to rush down the stairway. Well, the problem with that is, at the end of the stairway there was a door that was kept open about 2 foot. It was a big swinging door, and it was latched to the floor so that when the kids were going up to the balcony, the ticket takers could check the tickets and only let one through at a time. The problem was they never opened that door back up, and it was still latched 2 feet wide. So as the kids were coming running down the stairway, one fell, then another, and then another, and they all were piling up at the bottom of the stairs. And the kids coming down the stairs couldn't tell because there was a turn in the stairway, and the kids just kept coming. Witnesses say that they were piled up 20 deep. Now, there was a survivor, William Cotting Jr., said that when he got to the bottom of the stairs and he got onto the pile, he was a child at the time, he actually said that he realized that he was standing on other children. He yelled up to stop, and the onslaught of kids did not stop. He realized that he was walking on the bodies of dead children. The first adult to arrive on the scene was William Graham. He tried to pull the kids off the pile, but he says that the kids were piled in so tight he couldn't pull them off. So he ran around the back to another entrance and is noted for saving hundreds of children's lives because he opened up a different door and allowed the rest of the children to go out that way. The children were laid out on the floor of the theater, and witnesses say that some were crushed so bad that they were almost thin. They had no way to identify some of the kids because of the faces. So the parents came in and had to identify them by their clothing. That theater actually stayed open for another 50 years, but was bombed in World War II. The interesting thing about these two stories is the history that we are still dealing with now. The first story is why we can't yell fire in a crowded theater because of what happened in the hall for the families during the Christmas party. The second one is one of the surviving children grew up, made his life work so that this tragedy never happens again. He became an engineer and designed what he called a crash door. It's a latch that can still keep a door shut from the outside, but from the inside it can be pushed open with ease. And we see these every day on theaters and other commercial buildings. It's a door latch that you see that has a bar that runs all the way across the door, and when you push on that bar it opens the door. So he designed that because of this tragedy, and we still use that today. But to this day, if you go to that spot, you can still hear the screams of children even though the theater is not there anymore. So that's some interesting stories. I love hearing stories about like that. Although it's a tragedy, we're living with the good things that come out of it today. So I hope you enjoyed the stories from today, and I hope you enjoy this video. And if you do, please share it with a friend. And remember, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and give me a thumbs up. And thank you for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you would like more of these, or if you'd like to hear some good stories, head over to our 222 Paranormal Podcast. We're available anywhere you get your podcast from. But anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.